Hi, so this is just an update for week two of my chess challenge fundraiser. Um, Fortunately, I did make it successfully through the goal of this week, and I'm happy to share a little bit about that. And then just again, what resources I've been using to try and learn chess in case it's helpful for anyone else. But just to kind of start with and give a little bit of background for the fundraiser, I've been trying to essentially gain 100 points on chess.com's rapid ratings every week for as long as I can sustain. So, to my understanding, the sort of absolute minimum score is 100, but the score that I'm using as my baseline is 320 because I started at a placeholder of 400 after playing five rapid rounds. I was brought down to 320 because again, starting, very much from scratch, really only knowing just the absolute basic rules of the game at that point. Um, and so my goal then would be to, reach 420 by the end of the first week, 520 by the end of this week, 620 by the end of next week, and so on. Um, and as you can see from this distribution here, it does look like it's going to get quite a bit harder beyond a certain point. So I'm still, very much in the beginner stage. I think I'm just like right above 500. I made the goal for this week, like on the dot yesterday, and I still have about 3 days left in the week. So hopefully I can use that as a little bit of a buffer going into next week again. But yeah, clearly there's a very long but small tail end of this distribution. And to my understanding, like once someone gets to be about 2000, that's they're essentially professional chess players or semi-professional chess players. So I still don't know how much longer the fundraiser will go. I think that if I make it to 1000, that would be a pleasant surprise. And if I make it to any further than that, I would be pleasantly shocked. Uh, but yeah, that's kind of the state of the fundraiser at the moment. We'll see if I can make it to 620 by next Wednesday evening. Um, and yeah, it's continued to be just personally a really fascinating project. I've dreamt of chess a few times this week because it's been in my mind so much, and it's just been just such a fascinating game in so many ways. Um, and I should probably also just mention briefly what the fundraiser is for. It's for trying to raise funds for free or sliding scale neurodiversity affirming therapies like speech therapy, occupational therapy, etc., for children and families in the Triangle region of North Carolina. So it's on behalf of a nonprofit that I'm involved with there. Okay, so what tools have I used this week? Just in case it's helpful for anyone else. And of course, there's plenty of tutorials out there that are uh, made by people with incredible knowledge of chess and expertise and who can go into the details of different tactics, far better than I ever could. But I thought it might be worth just sharing the tools I've been using and a couple of simple things I've learned this week because most people hosting tutorials are such experts, they've been probably removed from that beginner stage for a much longer time. And so maybe hearing from someone who's going through it could be uh, interesting in a supplemental way. Uh, Okay, so I've continued to be a big fan of Lichess. Um, and one sort of area of uh, puzzles that I've been focusing on a little bit this week would be trap pieces. So situations where a piece is unable to escape capture, or where we can get the opponent's piece to be in a situation where it's unable to escape capture. So I did this puzzle before filming because I didn't want you to have to watch me slowly stare at the board and figure things out. But in this case, we can see that the queen is pretty close to being trapped. If she moves up to a6, the bishop can take her. If she moves to b6, the pawn can take her. And obviously there's a row of pawns up here, so she can't really move further up. Um, if she tries to capture the bishop on b5, then the pawn on a4 can take her. But at the moment, she could still move down to b4. So we have to block that avenue for her, which we can do by just moving the bishop. then she will. Oh, okay. It looks like it wants me to move her down now. Okay, so she's going to take the bishop, but that's fine because our knight was on e2 and can take her. So that's kind of a successful outcome of trapping a piece. Essentially, uh, my weakness is still definitely in openings. I think maybe just because once you get to the end of the game, there's fewer pieces and there's fewer variables, and so I feel like it's just easier to imagine all the situations that could unfold. And this is maybe more conjecture. I don't actually know for sure if this is the case, but it feels like, at least towards the end of the game, uh, there's more clearly a right answer. So, if you put the king into checkmate, that's the right thing to do, if possible. Or if not, to, get so that you can do that in ideally the next step if you're trying to bring the game to an end. But at the beginning, there's obviously so many different potential openings that someone could use. And it seems like it's more, well, there's certain moves that obviously are uh, not great. Like, if you just move your queen out to the middle of the board and she's uh, surrounded by pieces that could attack her, that's obviously not good. But beyond that, like within the openings, uh, different openings might be better suited for different playing styles or might have different strengths or drawbacks. Um, and so I guess that subjective nature of it, or just like the multivariable nature of it, remains a little bit harder for me to track. I also like that when you're testing yourself, it will um, give you an indication of whether your move is correct in the sense of it's what you saved in your repertoire and what you want to practice. But if it's not correct, it will also give you an indication of whether the move is like a blunder, something you absolutely don't want to do, or if it's maybe not what you saved, but it's still an okay move to do. And that's one piece that I found is kind of missing in a lot of the other puzzles where there's a best answer, but if you don't get the best answer, it's not always clear how close you are to optimal, if at all. Like, did you do something that was still pretty good, but not optimal, or at least okay, but not optimal? Or did you make a horrible mistake that would result in you losing the game in the next step? And so I really appreciate um, that portion or that quality of chessbook. Uh, the other tool that I've been using is chessable. I don't know as much about that website, but I did start a course on openings, and what I like about that course, and I'm just going to try and pull it up here so I can. Okay, it's Smithy's Opening Fundamentals. What I like about that course is that it is pretty good at showing the overall concepts of why different strategies in the opening are helpful or not, kind of giving the overall, almost like high level theoretical picture of the openings. I've heard a little bit of that before. I mean, the general concept I've been told is you want to like put your pieces out and develop early and put pieces in the center. But I feel like this course just explains that in a little bit more detail. And I'm only partway through, but I do find it helpful, and I feel like it takes openings a little bit further away from just like trying to memorize lists of potential outcomes or potential moves and counter moves, and more of figuring out like more conceptually why something is or isn't a good move. And they have lots of like different example games and everything. And it's also free, so that's good as well. Uh, yeah, I guess that's about as far as I have for an update this week. Still very open to any advice on openings. If anyone happens to be watching this and knows of like a fantastic openings resource, or really any other chess related resource, I'd be happy to hear it. If you happen to be interested in supporting the fundraiser, and have the financial means to do so and it's not stressful, we would definitely be very grateful for that. So I'll put the link to that in the video description. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this. I hope everyone's doing well and take good care. Bye.